Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who they're calling the Bailey Zappi of podcasting. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing great. Bailey Zappi is the new Tom Brady. We're just going to have to accept that. So get ready, everybody.
Yeah, I saw that on the official On the Sideline Twitter account. You tweeted out for the show. I believe you called Bailey Zappi right here the new king of the NFL, Bailey Zappi. So you're very pumped about Bailey Zappi tweeting on the neutral On the Sideline Twitter account that he is the new king of the NFL.
Listen, there's been nothing neutral about this podcast since its inception. So, you know what? I'm a little excited. We got the win. That's all that matters. And a emphatic win, which we'll get to here shortly.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll get to it at a certain point.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're leading off with the Lions-Patriots 29-0 game.
Maybe at the end.
We'll get to it. We'll do it at the middle. We'll do it in the middle.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, a lot to talk about here on a solid Sunday. I feel like not a great Sunday, not a bad Sunday either. This was, just a solid Sunday of football.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think we did, we had some good games. We didn't have a great game Thursday night, but we had some good games that were entertaining, and we had some interesting decision making throughout the evening that I thought was pretty fun to watch, and led to some close games.
Yeah, we actually had an amazing game Thursday night, but we'll more into that when we get to that one. Let's talk about the Sunday night game, which was a very fun one. Ended up coming down to the wire here. Some interesting decisions in this one. We saw the bank kind of both offenses have their pros and their cons, but really kind of struggle a little bit in this one. But it felt like it just took the Bengals a little bit longer to get going than it took the Ravens to get going, and that was kind of the difference. As they finally got it going, but it was too little to wait at that point.
Yeah. Bengals had some moments in this one. I feel like this is the game where, like, if you're a Zach Taylor hater, as you are,
Yeah.
this is probably the game you're gonna, wave your white. You're gonna do some victory laps after this week because it was not a glowing performance. I thought from him. I thought the whole goal line situation they had, where they had multiple plays that weren't to Jamar Chase or Joe Mixon, including a Philly special play, which was questionable. That led to eventual fourth down attempt that I didn't really like the fourth down call or the decision to go for it on fourth down, and ended up with 0 points out of that whole scenario. Baltimore goes down and goes up 16-10. Bengals go down and score, make it 17-16. Ravens obviously come down and win it with Justin Tucker, who is basically just automatic. And I think I saw some ridiculous thing that said, if it was like a half yard wide, the field goal post, he still would have made the kick. So that's how good he is. Yeah, it was kind of a weird game, but neither of the offense was really consistent. But we saw the Bengals have some success moving the ball, just not enough to get this win.
Yeah, it doesn't. Again, I always go back to Zach Taylor. I'm not going to crush him too hard for individual specific plays because, again, it's hard. Maybe he saw something in the game planning that he liked. Maybe he thought a Philly special would work. I don't know. But it does kind of just feel like Zach Taylor, just get Joe Burrow to throw the ball to Jamar Chase as many times as possible, right? Like, why are we complicating things? Just let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, they had 12 targets, which is a pretty good number. The problem I had was that it didn't feel like a lot of them were downfield or explosive play opportunities. It really seemed like that one drive where they scored the touchdown in the fourth quarter was where there was a real emphasis to get Jamar Chase the football. And guess what? It led to a touchdown. It led them all the way downfield into the scoring range. That was their best drive in the night, I thought, too, where it was just like, let's find ways to get Jamar Chase either man-to-man opportunities or outside the numbers opportunities, and Jamar Chase won a lot of battles on that drive, and it led to a touchdown. It just didn't seem like there was enough of that the rest of the game.
Yeah, and again, I think Baltimore did a good job of playing two safeties deep, which is what we questioned would they do going in. They did. They did the right thing. Also, losing T. Higgins really hurt the Bengals in this one, I think. Again, you need as many guys as possible, and losing T. Higgins definitely hurts.
Yeah, definitely credit to Ravens defense. They stayed disciplined. I thought this was one of the better Patrick Queen games in coverage. He did come up with the interception, but this is a guy who I think at times throughout his career has looked a little lost in coverage. This was a big step forward, I thought, for him. But yeah, I thought the Ravens defense did a good job, stay disciplined, and they were pretty content with letting Joe Mixon kind of do his thing. They just didn't want to get beat deep, and they stay disciplined with that, which I think is hard for them sometimes.
Yeah, definitely the right call there. Someone brought up JPP was a great signing. Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul. Where did this come from? His last year in Tampa Bay was not overly impressive. This guy seems like he never back to being in his prime.
Yeah, he was effective in the first half of this one for sure. He made couple of huge plays I thought early on that really set the tone for this one. It was an impressive game. I agree.
Yeah, no, fun one. I guess the Bengals now are 2-3, so I think they've lost to the Steelers, which looks more and more like a tough loss week after week. Are we hitting the panic meter or not yet?
Not really, because what? They're still just a game behind Baltimore basically for the division. Like
Hmm.
if they're falling, like I'm hitting the panic meter if a team starts falling way behind, I think, and they're still not way behind. There's a couple other teams that I'm going to hit the panic button with a little bit more because I still also see the path to success for the Bengals. Like I still see this team have glimpses of what that Super Bowl team was last season, where they're getting Jamar Chase the football, the offense is moving the ball downfield effectively, and I still think the defense has played. I mean, Lamar Jackson missed a few throws that weren't very like characteristically of Lamar Jackson, but I still think
Hmm.
the defense has played pretty well over the first 5 weeks of the season. So I'm not hitting the panic button yet because I still see glimpses of what this team can be.
Yeah, I think I agree. Let's move on. Why don't we? I mean, did we give the Ravens their due? I think so. Again, Lamar wasn't great, but you still won. You feel good about that.
Yeah, he missed two just awesome opportunities, I think, for touchdowns. But other than that, like you said, he got them in the position to win that game, and you just knew Justin Tucker wasn't going to miss that one. It was an okay day for the Ravens offense. Still room to improve. Most importantly, they're winning this division right now.
Yeah. Let's move on to. I'm very excited to talk about this one. Giants Packers. I don't know what's going on in London, but we're having exciting game after exciting game over there. The Packers had a 20-10 lead at the half. They would only score 2 points in that second half. It was the intentional safety at the end there. The let's start off with the Giants perspective because we'll have plenty to talk about Green Bay, I'm sure. But let's make sure we give the Giants their due. I thought Giants defense looked awesome. Great game plan by Wink Martindale. Excuse me. Not Dink Martindale. Saquon Barkley looked awesome. Daniel Jones looked competent. That was plenty of what they needed to get the win here.
Yeah, Jones was, I thought, pretty good in this game. He was effective. He was careful with the ball, which I think is a huge thing. And I thought he
Hmm.
made some big time money throws despite, this isn't like, it's not like losing your best receivers on this Giants team is really like, sinking the ship or anything. But
Hmm.
down a couple guys, he made some big time throws, I thought. And like I said, he took care of the football, which was the most important thing. And I mean, this offense right now is still Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley was really good in this game. So that added a lot to it. I mean, his total yardage stuff wasn't like blowing you away. I think he ended up with 106 total yardage, but it still was a awesome performance, I thought, from him and just, carrying this team when they really needed it.
Yeah. Joe in the chat says Dable Coach of the Year candidate is my hot take. I don't even think that's a hot take. I appreciate a super chat. I don't even think that's a hot take. I think through 5 weeks, like he's the pick, right? If you had to pick right now, who's been the Coach of the Year through 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think right now it's him or Mike McCarthy, honestly, which is crazy to say.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm putting him in that conversation at this point.
Hmm.
Um, NFC East is back, baby. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he definitely deserves all the love for what he's been able to do because this team's been down a ton of wide receivers. They've, the quarterback play has been inconsistent so far this season, and they're still winning a lot of football games. They're 4-1. Like I think we're quick to like try and judge and evaluate things sometimes. Like this was the Titans all last year, where the Titans were the one seed, and people were like, "Oh, the Titans are very good." Okay, it kind of proved itself in the playoffs that the Titans weren't very good. Maybe this Giants team isn't very good and doesn't work out very well, but this Giants team is 4-1 right now. They're 4-1 and in the spot where they need to be to make a playoff run. So you got to give credit for that, and they're doing exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I still have the mindset of like, oh wow, it's a tough loss. The Packers lost to the Giants. It's like, but it's like so right now the Giants are 4-1, and to have wins over last year's both number one seeds, wins over the Packers and wins over the Titans. So Mike says stunned what the Giants have done with this roster. Yeah, I still don't know how much I love this Giants team, especially when we do talk about it being a pass-centric league, and Daniel Jones, again, a fine quarterback. I don't know if I'm willing to crown him just yet after a nice game here, and the receiving core is still a mess. But if they can run the ball effectively and they can play defense with their relatively easy schedule, this is a team that I wouldn't be shocked if they can squeak into the playoffs.
I mean, at this point, yeah, because we've talked about we think the bottom of the NFC is pretty weak. There's still a
Hmm.
situation where they can get into one of those spots. I think that I agree with everything that the roster is incomplete, but at the same time, I think it's good at certain positions, and we've proven time and time again that these are kind of important positions to be good at. I think they're good up front. I think they're good in the secondary, even though they're dealing with some injuries on that side of the ball too. And I
Hmm.
think that they're good at the line of scrimmage, and I think that just matters for this team. And yeah, I definitely could see a scenario where this team makes the playoffs at this point.
The best thing that they did was they had a great game plan against the Packers. And Kyle, I'm maybe a bit concerned for the Packers that there could be a blueprint out here after this one of the Giants kind of a little bit viewed the Packers the way we've seen teams view the Ravens in years past of don't let make Aaron Rodgers get rid of the ball quickly. Don't let Aaron Rodgers hold on to the ball for too long. Make him make a quick throw, blitz him, play a lot of man coverage, force the receivers to beat you. And look, Randall Cobb got him a couple times, but for the most part, this was not a great. Again, this isn't a great receiving core. Take advantage of that, and I think that the Giants have shown you how you can really, not shut down the Packers offense because they still have Aaron Rodgers, they still have Matt LaFleur, but hinder this offense.
Yeah, I mean, the number is basically, I think you had it from last season, that the last 12 years, an NFL team without a top 15 wide receiver room has not won a Super Bowl,
Or been to the
correct?
Super Bowl.
Or been to the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Okay. So I'm assuming probably that Seahawks team might be the only one. Or the last one to do it. But anyway, so, just looking at it overall, like, yeah, if you can't win on the outside, you're not going to win a lot of football games. And right now, like, I think Alan Lazard's a solid receiver. He's not a number one receiver. We've said this multiple times. And it's just coming to fruition with this team. Like you said, if you're able to get pressure, force the ball out of his hand, it's very hard for this team to beat you because they can't beat people one-on-one on the outside quickly. They're going to need time to develop long developing plays. They got to have to run the ball a lot better than they did in this game and develop their play action offense. Otherwise, they're just not going to score a lot of points. And that's what we saw in the second half where they were completely shut down because they couldn't run the ball effectively. They couldn't develop play action and they couldn't have success on the outside.
Yeah. Elijah says, I think it's worth mentioning the odd neglect of the run game by the Packers in the second half. Yeah, this is something that a lot of people are wondering about. Why did the Packers kind of, go away from the run? And, well, I still think they probably should have ran the ball a bit more, especially when you're up by as much as they were and how their team is kind of built around the run. I think part of it, too, is like, listen, the Giants we're hoping that they ran. I mean, they were putting enough guys in the box to basically just say, if you run, we think we will have it covered. We're going to put a lot of guys here. We're forcing you to throw on the outside. And that's what the Packers tried to do that. And maybe they should have just said, we're going to, go against what the scheme says and go with what our talent says.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers is going to try and take the best matchup. And if he
Yeah.
sees the best matchup on the outside, he's going to be able to make that throw. If his guy can get open and make the catch, that's a different conversation.
Hmm.
I don't know. Is it going to have to take a different kind of shift from Green Bay and what they're able to? Are they going to have to just stay disciplined and say we need to hit 30 carries a game to win football games? Because I don't see a scenario where we're throwing the ball where they're throwing the ball 40 times and winning a lot of games.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, which is crazy to say of Aaron Rodgers, right? That just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah, but that's how they constructed this team. And especially when Devontae Adams left. I mean, they were stuck in a bad situation because he asked so late for the trade. I mean, they don't really have another solution. I think this is going to be a big game script team. And when they're not running their game script, which is establishing the running game and running play action, I don't see how they're going to have a lot of success.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. This is an interesting spot. Also, we should probably talk about the kind of the chaos going on after this game with the Packers. I'm not sure how much of this you caught, but there was apparently a rift between Aaron Rodgers and some teammates. I guess he was upset that Jair Alexander had to quote after the game of, I'm not worried after this loss, but if we lose next week, I will be. He said he doesn't like even putting the idea that they could lose next week out there in the universe. That's what the reports are Also, Aaron Jones talked about how he would have trusted himself and A.J. Dillon to be able to pick up 2 yards on 2 plays, but then mentioned Aaron Rodgers, I don't see what he sees. I don't see what the quarterback sees. So that's why he did it, because it was Aaron Rodgers' call on that 4th down to run it or to throw it. So some rifts going on top of everything.
Yeah, that's not great news.
No.
I don't really know what to take away from a lot of it. I'm sure they'll work it out. But yeah, I mean, I think there's some reasons, like this Packers team I still think is a playoff team. And I mean, I still think right now I'd take it to win the division. But I do think that there's I still think that there's reasons for questions with this team, but I think we had these same questions in the offseason. They just haven't really found an answer. And I think I'm a little more concerned now because they still haven't found that answer.
Yeah, you trust that good teams will figure it out, but you only have so much time, especially if you want to get a 1 seed here. You gotta start winning games quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's do the Chargers Browns. Why don't we? This is again kind of a repeat of last year almost. It was very fun. I thought that Jacoby Brissett really played well up until that just boneheaded interception at the end. That was just one of those, what in the world are you doing? They had the game won seemingly if he does not do that. So I don't know what was happening there. Nick Chubb, just a casual 7.9 yards per carry, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt also a rushing touchdown as well. Justin Herbert, maybe the stat lines don't show it all, but he was very good. Austin Eckler, 173 rushing yards on 10.8 yards per carry. So a couple of running backs had some big days in this one. Kyle, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird because it was like the Browns jumped out to a huge lead, and it's like, okay, the Browns might coast in this game. The Chargers come roaring back with Justin Herbert. He did well, and it just kind of felt like it was topsy-turvy in that sort of way, where it was going back and forth between the two guys. But yeah, I mean, the stars really showed out in this game, and it was impressive to watch. And then the the throw in the end zone was just inexplicably bad, and then it was just an odd decision and it was bad. It was just horrible, and that's why you invest heavily in quarterback like the Browns did, and they're waiting on that quarterback to be available to play, because you don't want those mistakes in the end zone. That was a really bad decision, I thought, overall, and it didn't work out in their favor. And I don't know. It was kind of just a weird game in that way that it kept going back and forth, and then the Browns, they got the ball at the 46-yard line with a chance to win the game, and I don't know. It felt like they were playing for a field goal at that point. It felt like they were playing for a 55-yarder rather than trying to move the ball downfield and put themselves in a better position to win it.
Yeah, it's crazy because you look at this Browns team and you're kind of thinking, okay, if they can maintain 500 with Jacoby Brissett, you'd feel great about it. But this game feels like they had it and blew it. The Falcons game felt like they very much could have won. The Jets game, they absolutely blew it. So this is a team that, they could easily be 5-0 if a few things break down differently.
Yeah, I mean, it really could be. This team's not executing at the end of games, though, and that's the biggest problem. I mean, they could have easily lost that Panthers game, too. So, I mean, there's a scenario where they're also 1-4 because of late game execution.
Sure.
So, it's been a really weird Browns season. I think, part of my thing has always been, I think the variance of the way they play right now because of the situation they're in creates a lot of these close games. But this feels like another one where it could have, it kind of slipped through their hands. I don't really know. Like, this team may very well be 500 by the time Deshaun Watson plays, but I don't really know what to think of this team overall and how this team's going to go, forward, because things I thought were really good about this team, the defense didn't look very good again in this week. And I think it's been a growing trend that this defense has been kind of average when I thought it was going to be a lot better than that. And the running backs are awesome and they're going to continue to be awesome. But what else is this team going to be elite at?
Yeah, again, Deshaun Watson gets back. That'll make the receiving core look better, right? You still do have Amari Cooper and David Njoku, who's having a nice season. So, I still think that there's good players on this defense. It's just kind of a matter of putting it all together. It's weird. Like, on paper, this should be an elite defense. It just hasn't been that way.
Yeah, it really should be. And you look at all the pieces. I mean, do they need a change in coordinator? Because there's no reason that you should look at a team. I mean, just look at this roster. It's Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, John Johnson, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Jadeveon Clowney. You're looking at Ronnie Harrison, Greg Newsome, Myles Garrett. All these guys are studs.
Denzel Ward.
Yeah, all these guys are studs on this team, and it still seems like that they struggle to get stops. I get this Chargers offense is good, but I mean, Mike Williams basically mossed this entire secondary today.
Yeah, he had a great day.
Yeah, Mike Williams might be the best contested catcher I've ever seen. Like this guy's unreal the way he makes catches. And he
Uh-huh.
had another one that he had another one where I think he was like toes away from a touchdown, basically too. And it would have been unreal if he had an 11 catch day off of that.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this one?
I guess do you take anything away from either of these two teams? I still feel like they're two teams that I don't have really a feel for how good they are. I think they're
I'm
good teams, but I don't know if they're great teams.
Yeah, it's hard. It's always hard to say against. I feel like you can never really tell how good a team is until like after the season. Which at that point, who cares? I feel like through 5 games, I feel like both of these teams are teams that I like teams that could make the playoffs, but I worry about their ceiling.
Yeah, I think so too. Do you want to talk about your guy?
Is Brandon Staley my guy?
Your guy.
Listen, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this guy.
Like I saw, the I want to launch the fourth down decision bot into the sun, like
Yeah.
because it was like a 12% higher win probability to go for it on 4th and 2 at your own 46-yard line. Like,
hmm
sure, makes sense. If you convert the first down, you're gonna win the football game. But it just seemed like it was a wild situation. And then the play design was a slant to Williams, which I guess, he was working. But this team's what, 5-11 on fourth downs now for the season? Like, I don't know. Does he need to go back to, Brandon Staley from last week?
I mean, no, I don't have any issue with Brandon Staley going for it on fourth down. I think that's smart. Again, it's the kind of it's the old Bill Belichick against the Patriots, or against not against the Patriots, against the Colts. Peyton Manning stuff. It's like when it doesn't work out, you get criticized, even if it's the right move.
Yeah, but it just seems like a lot of these don't work out in his favor. It seems like it happens a lot. And
Well,
this one it
people
worked out.
people make a big deal about the ones that don't work out in his favor. Certainly,
That's true. But
I mean,
uh,
last year everyone talked about how they all didn't work out, but he actually won more games than he lost last year due to his fourth downs. But people don't talk about the ones that work; they won't talk about the ones that don't work.
yeah, that's fair. But I don't know. There's a couple fourth down ones that I was pretty dumbfounded by, and it felt like it would have been easy to say punt the football and make Jacoby Brissett go the whole length of the field.
Listen, I have a lot of I have a lot of issues with Brandon Staley. And again, I think that's fair. The reason, you can always say I'm going to go against the analytics because of this specific situation. I've always believed that that's fine. But I just, there's plenty of reasons to criticize Brandon Staley and what he's done. I don't know if I would put the going for it on fourth down and 1 to try and win the game as one of them.
Yeah. The I think there needs to be more nuance on the situation. That's the only thing I have. I feel like we've reached a point where you either have to be a fourth down guy or you have to be a non-fourth down guy. Like
hmm
like you can have nuance to the situation. I think you can evaluate each of these individually.
I think the best thing to do is just whatever happens, you say it's a good call if it works, and if it's a bad call if it doesn't work.
I'll start doing that then. There you
Yeah, I think that's the preferred one.
go. Okay.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk Eagles Cardinals. Why don't we? I made this the thumbnail game. Largely just because I couldn't find a Giants thumbnail ling around, so I went with the Eagles one. But the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles maybe didn't have their best offensive day, but I thought Jalen Hurts still made some plays in this one. Their defense still looks very good. I thought the Cardinals defense actually played very well in this one. But to me, the biggest story here was really kind of a blunder at the end of this one by Kyler Murray. He spikes the ball on first down, then takes looked like a designed quarterback run on second down. They get 9 yards. He hurries up and spikes it again, and then have to try a 42-yard field goal because it's fourth down and they missed the field goal. Just kind of a bizarre sequence of events.
Yeah, and the positional awareness to know that he could have gotten the first down
hmm
and still had time to even spike the ball and run another play and set him up even further probably would have helped. But
hmm
he didn't get the first down. And then not to mention, like, it's not an easy throw. It was definitely not the easiest throw in the world, but he had a pretty big miss to Zach Ertz a couple plays earlier. That
Yeah.
Zach Ertz was wide open on the sideline on one. It
hmm
wasn't the easy. It was a deep out, so it's not the easiest throw. But you know, maybe it's unfair because we do know their salaries for how much Kyler Murray is getting paid. You kind of
Right.
expect them to make that throw. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, it was all set up for the Cardinals to come down and tie this game and do this in Cardinals fashion because this game kind of went how we figured, where the Eagles jumped out early, Cardinals worked their way back in the fourth quarter. They had a chance to tie or win the game, and this time it didn't work out in their favor because they made a couple big mistakes, and mainly Kyler Murray made a couple big mistakes that I think cost them at the end.
Yeah, the Raiders have to be saying, "Where was this Kyler Murray? Where was the? Why did we have to get super Kyler Murray?"
Yeah, they left him too much time apparently. Yeah, I mean it was a pretty. I was pretty. Let me see. I'm trying to think what I want to say. I think I can come away from this game pretty impressed with the Cardinals. Like, I'm not sure this is like a playoff team yet,
Hmm.
but this team looks, based on from where we saw from the Chiefs game week 1 to the first half of week 2 with that Raiders game, they're down 20-0, to where this team is now, it feels night and day. They feel a lot more competitive. I think Rondell Moore back in the lineup has helped the offense tremendously because you look at this passing game, Marquise Brown, he had an incredible touchdown today, by the way. Had a good game. Rondell Moore, really good game too as a number 2 guy. Zach Ertz, I think, as a number 3 guy, has helped a lot. And then they got these supporting cast guys like Anino Benjamin getting a touchdown, James Conner in tight situations able to get yards. And then on the defensive side, like, it wasn't a fantastic game, but I think J.J. Watt helps a lot on this defense, and I think that's a huge part of why this defense has played a lot better the past couple weeks because I think Watt's a really important player for this group. So I think that it's a lot more competitive team than what we saw the first couple weeks, where it looked like maybe one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah, they look way. You're right. They look way better, and DeAndre Hopkins coming back before too long. You play Seattle, who I don't know what to make of Seattle. We'll talk about them in a second, but if you can win that game, get to 3-3, that's when you can start to feel you feel like you're in a lot better, much better place, despite the heartbreaking loss against Philadelphia. As for Philadelphia, this is now best record in football. They've shown they can win in a myriad of different ways. It still feels very early for a team that last year was a fringe playoff team. They barely made it in and didn't look great once they got there. This year, they're definitely taking a step forward. So I don't know how much we want to crown them yet, but do we put the Eagles as favorites to win the NFC right now? A gun to your head, you have to pick one team to get to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Are you picking Philadelphia?
No.
Interesting. Who would you pick ahead of them?
I think given a matchup situation, I would take San Francisco and Tampa to beat them.
I see. Matchup situation, how?
I still think they match up with them pretty well. I don't know if I don't know. I still haven't seen enough from the Eagles to say that they're going to be able to win outside one-on-one consistently against a lot of teams, and I think that's what it's going to take to beat Tampa Bay. And I don't know if they can do that. I think they have good receivers, and that's helped, but I still don't know if they're in a position to do that consistently against a team of that caliber. And I also think San Francisco and the way they can play downhill, I think would give the Eagles a lot of trouble as well. So I think I would take those two teams in a playoff game over Philadelphia.
I'm gonna pick Philadelphia. I don't know. Rex Smith says Tampa Bay if the refs refuse to allow anyone to tackle Brady. Yeah, that's a great point. No one can tackle Brady, so the Buccaneers got it.
Yeah, maybe the Giants. Maybe the Giants. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey,
but
who knows?
yeah, I mean, they're in that conversation for me though. They were in the conversation for me preseason. Maybe they were probably a tier 2 team for a lot of people in the NFC, and I still think that they're in a position now. I think they're in the tier 1 if I were to have that conversation. So I think that I think that there's an opportunity for them to win the NFC potentially. They're in a spot. They're going to be one of those teams.
Yeah, and listen, I don't love any team in the NFC. So it's like, do I think the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl? Like, no, I don't think they have a better than 50% chance of going to the Super Bowl. But if I have to pick one team that I like more than them, it's like, am I picking Green Bay? Am I picking Tampa Bay? Am I picking Dallas? Am I picking San Francisco? I feel like all those teams have flaws. So that's why I'm like, I guess I would go maybe the Eagles, but I could be talked out of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that. I guess you kind of have to put them as favorites right now, but I just think in a matchup situation, there's teams I like more.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to their division rival. Why don't we? Because this is another team you could argue should be favorites to go to the Super Bowl, which sounds crazy to say. The Cowboys will play the Eagles on Sunday Night Football next week, and how happy must the NFL be about an NFC East matchup we actually care about watching? They were able to defeat the Rams 21-10 in this one. Cooper Rush threw the ball 16 times in this one, which I think is exactly where they want to have him. As there was a point when Cooper Rush basically did absolutely nothing, and the Cowboys were up 9 points. I mean, that's how they were able to win this one. Kyle, your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys now 4-1?
This was kind of an ass kicking, man. This
Mhm.
isn't even as close as I thought the scoreline showed, mainly because Dallas played conservative. But I think first of all, Dallas's defense is proven again that it's really good. Um,
Mhm.
Outside of a huge Cooper Cup play, Los Angeles did basically nothing.
Yeah.
They did basically nothing in this game outside of that one big play. And the front line again was awesome. Micah Parsons continues his Defensive Player of the Year campaign.
Mhm.
Demarcus Lawrence got the initial touchdown. Everything seemed to work for Dallas defensively in this game, and it was a big part of their success. Um, I think we need to have this conversation. Mike McCarthy's done a really good job. And yes, you could probably attribute it a lot to having maybe the best staff in football when it comes to Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn. But hiring a staff is part of being a head coach. And I think he's hired the right guys around him that have really helped this team, despite the losses at quarterback, be successful.
Yeah. Also, MB in the chat saying, seriously, Eagles versus Cowboys? I promise you, I ain't watching that garbage. All right. Well, listen, different people, we're going to have different opinions on this stuff.
They're 9-1. What
Yeah.
exactly is a enjoyable game for you if that's not an enjoyable game?
Listen, I don't know. People like different things.
Just watch lacrosse if you don't like football that much, man. Oh my
All
gosh.
right. Well, no, you can still watch football and make sure you subscribe to Jackson Kruger Sports. Well, let's talk. Yeah, very impressive for the Cowboys, and you expect them to get better with Dak Prescott in there. Like Cooper Rush. I'm not sure if again, it's the stupidest quarterback controversy of all time because he's clearly not playing very great football. He's been okay, and that's been enough for them to win. But yeah, good stuff there. For the Rams, where are we at the panic in terms of winning a Super Bowl? Where's the panic meter at?
um, like an 8. This team can't move the football. It's two guys are bust. It's Cooper Cup or Tyler Higbee. They can't run the football. Cam Akers was basically just a draft bust at this point. Um, and I don't like. They keep saying, "Oh, well, maybe Odell Beckham." Why would Odell Beckham pick this team right now to come back to?
Right.
And other than wanting to live in Los Angeles and come back and run it back with this team, why would he
Hmm.
pick this team over other teams that were probably going to court him whenever he's healthy? I wouldn't. I don't think it's a really good situation. I don't think he should pick this team. So yeah, I'm concerned. I still think they're in a position to win this division if they right the ship because nobody's run away from them in the NFC South. But this is a bad football team right now, and it's playing like a bad football team, particularly on offense where it's not getting the job done. And I still think it's a pretty good defense. It got torched on the ground today, but I still think it's a decent defense that can make some things happen. They don't have enough going on offense though, and I don't think it's going to get better.
Yeah, I think Odell's done a great move. I feel like people should follow this trend of like if you're injured, don't just sign right away with someone. Wait until you're about to be healthy again, or at least getting into the groove of being healthy again. So that way you can give it a few weeks, see who's I maybe would have picked the Rams, but the Rams are disappointing. Maybe I'll go with go with the Packers or something.
Yeah, I think it is a smart move. I think he has all the leverage right now because teams are going to start getting desperate, and as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to be effective. So he's going to have a lot of options this season. It's going to be interesting to decide where he decides to go. So yeah, I'm concerned for the Rams, and I think I'm pretty high on the Cowboys right now. I think that they're really good.
Yeah. As for finally, we should talk about Stafford. Not great week for. Do we start getting worried about Stafford at all, or is it just this is Stafford?
I mean, you could say this is Stafford wasn't this bad. I mean, this is poor stretch of football. I mean, he turned the ball over 3 times in this game. And I don't think he's, when I jumped the gun and probably said he was a tier 2 quarterback in the offseason, he's not that good. But
Hmm.
I think it's fair to say he's also not a quarterback. He's also not a player who has typically 8 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles in a season. That's not typically who he is either.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his touchdown to interception ratio week by week. Week 1, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Week 2, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Week 3, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Last week against the 49ers, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And then today, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So the only game he has a positive touchdown to interception ratio was 3-2. He's not exactly, again, it's not just him. That's obviously very much a team statistic as well. Other than Cooper Kupp, who does he have? That's all fair. But on top of that, he's making too many mistakes.
Yeah. So I think, and I think it is a whole offensive problem. I don't think they have enough receivers getting open besides Cooper Kupp. I don't think the offensive line's doing good enough. And I don't think Stafford's performing at the best of his ability either.
Yeah, but other than that, how are they doing?
Not great. Not great, Bob.
Yeah, no. Let's move
Chat
on.
69 is back. Here we go.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what happens if this, whatever it is, I don't know what you call it, bot.
I don't know. It's the best adult dating site.
I guess so. Sorry to everyone for me blocking it every week.
If they want to sponsor, let me know.
yeah, sure. Just talk to us. You don't have to do this spamming thing. Just give us a call.
Yeah, simple enough. What's the next game?
How funny it would be if we just randomly in the middle of our podcast plug adult dating site or whatever.
Chat 69, the best adult dating site in the industry. Follow it now.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been great promotion for that spam account. Let's move on. And also great transition going to the balls now of Titans. Right. Let's talk some balls. Amazingly, Washington has twice as many losses as the rest of their division combined. Just an incredible statistic so far through 5 weeks. The Titans are, can we say they're officially good-ish?
I think they're good-ish. There's
competent.
There's still things I don't love about the team, but I think that if Derrick Henry's going to be great again, then I think that there's a high floor for this team. And I think that's basically where we're going to put this team. And a high floor might win the AFC South again. So, I'm not putting it in my Super Bowl contenders here again. Kind of how we felt about this team last year. But I think we're in a situation where at least they can win a lot of football games just by being who they are. They're going to run the ball well. They're going to play well at the line of scrimmage. That's going to win some football games.
Yeah. I mean, again, weird stat line with Henry. He has 100 yards rushing, but at 3.6 yards per carry. He had 28 carries in this one, so that's part of how he was able to rack up so many yards. But this is their strategy of they're just going to let Henry beat a guy. All of their passing comes off of Derrick Henry. He is what they build the offense around, and it's going to just give them enough where their defense can do the rest of the work. The Commanders actually made some plays in this one. Carson Wentz is going to get a lot of blame for how it ended. He did make some plays in this one. Again, it was very Carson Wentz of a game by him. We saw Brian Robinson come back. That's cool, although the stats not so great, but cool to see him come in and be able to play. But as a whole, it's just this Washington team not that great.
Yeah, I didn't love the play calling by the goal line, but yeah, I mean it was an interesting Wentz game. I feel like he's born for the walk-off interception. That's just kind of meant to be who he is. But yeah, I mean they couldn't run the ball. They hit 2 gigantic plays. De'Ami Brown made a couple big plays in this one. And then had a couple other chunk plays, but not much going on, I thought, overall, besides those 2 huge pass plays. But yeah, I mean, I just thought, by the goal line, they're running a bunch of quick hitches and, they're trying to have Carson Wentz jam. Listen, Carson Wentz loves a tight window more than anybody else in the NFL. But you're asking him to jam some really tough throws in there. And he wasn't able to make them at the end.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Rex Smith says Rivera hates clock management. Is this the last year we see Ron Rivera as a head coach in the NFL?
I think so. Now,
maybe the Texans will hire him next year.
Maybe. I really don't want them to, fire him and bring in Jack Del Rio as the interim, but I don't know. They, I do think that there might need to be a change here pretty quickly because, yeah, this team is, for all the talk of the NFC East, this team is basically out now, right? Can this team make up the ground at this point to even be competitive in this division? It seems almost impossible now.
Yeah, no, they're done.
Yeah, so
Also,
Um,
ATU Urban says Carson loves tight holes. Kyle, look at what you've done to the chat.
hey, it's what I do. Carson Wentz, check out Chat 69, the best dominating site.
Yeah, I guess so. I suppose so. All right. Yeah. Okay. Want us to move on?
um, no, I mean, I think overall, like the Titans are a solid football team. I think this defense has really stepped
Mhm.
up too. I do think we want to give him credit to that. Like you said, Washington had some plays, but it was really the offense was two plays. And shout out to De'Ami Brown, someone who hasn't really lived up to their draft expectations, and Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of clowned him. Came up with
Mhm.
two big catches in this game, so that's a huge part. But yeah, overall, good defense, I think.
Yeah. One of the better two catch day you'll see with two catches for 105 yards and two touchdowns. That'll get it done.
Not quite as good as Gabriel Davis today, but pretty good.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Let's move on. Let's talk. I want to talk about this game. Let's talk about the Dolphins Jets game. The another surprise. New York. When's the last time 5 weeks into the season both New York teams were above 500? Crazy here. Things got off the rail. It was a competitive game for most of it. But the Jets outscored the Dolphins by 21 points in the fourth quarter. Obviously, it was tough for the Dolphins in this one with Skylar Thompson being thrown into action here. Didn't do great, but I don't know, what seventh round rookie would do great given that situation. Even a first round rookie would struggle, all the basically probably, meeting some of these guys on the field, I would imagine, not getting hardly any first team reps. It was tough, but I think the headliner is Zach Wilson, 10 yards per attempt in this one and no turnovers.
The no turnovers seems big because that's something,
Mhm.
he's had 10 yards per attempt before. But yeah, I mean, he did well in this game. I thought he was solid with the football. I think this team's kind of establishing a little bit of an identity. Brees Hall's, I think, playing very well for the rookie running back.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think they got some things going here. I think that there's something with this Jets team. They got talent on offense, and this defense just continues to compete and has some, there's no stars on this defense, maybe besides Sauce Gardner here coming up. I mean, he's
Yeah.
that kind of guy. But I think you go across the board outside of that, it's not a lot of star power. Like Quentin Williams is a pretty good defensive tackle, but the rest of the group is just a bunch of solid players. It seems like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of weaknesses to go out with the Jets defense.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to call CJ Mosley or Quan Alexander stars. They've certainly had their bright spots, but
Yeah.
that was a minute ago. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, again, Brees Hall, I mean, another guy with two catches and 100 yards in this one. 100 receiving yards, 97 rushing yards. I mean, he's shaping up to look a fantastic part of this Jets team. This Jets team, I don't know how great they are, but they're exciting and they're fun to watch.
They're competitive, which is something we
Mhm.
couldn't have said for the last 2 years, basically.
Right.
So
Feels
I
like for
think,
the last 10 years.
yeah, I mean, we'll see, because obviously Bridgewater getting hurt early in this game changed a lot of it too. Um,
Mhm.
so uh, you know, we'll continue to gauge this Jets team as we go forward, but I think right now they're winning football games. That's what's important, and they're not last in the division, so that goes a long way. Yeah, I mean, I think that this team might have an opportunity here to make a run and compete. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but they might be close.
Yeah, Joe asked in the chat, could Jets contend for a playoff spot? Hey, as of right now, they're in a playoff spot. So a lot of work to be done, but again, building for the future is looking nice.
Yeah, yeah, a lot going on here. Dolphins, we're able to establish a little bit of a run game, but I think Jets ahead. We're trying to play the pass. Um, you know, I think I don't know. Like, what do we think about this Dolphins team now after a couple losses? Is it really just they need Tua back?
I think so. I think it's hard to evaluate this team with Skylar Thompson out there.
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
Mhm.
I think he was not great, but at the same time, like you said, stepping into the situation, that's a really tough spot for any rookie to be in. And yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens going forward with this team. But yeah, they need their starting quarterback back, and who knows when that's going to happen.
Yeah. And also, Jackson, you were a Brees hater. I had Brees my second running back. What are you talking about?
I think you've been dead on with this. Damian Pierce is good.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't know. I feel like people would bring up takes I don't even remember I had of like, oh, remember when you said this? I'm like, oh, I don't actually.
Just bring up Kellen Mond.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, you don't have to stretch to find my bad takes. Like, you could easily find them.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know. People you're putting your takes out there in the ethernet, so people are going to remember them.
That's true. That's true. And that's part of the fun. Listen, I'd rather people remember my takes than not remember my takes.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, let's talk about the best quarterback to ever do it, Bailey Zappi, who the average point differential in games he starts is plus 29. This guy comes in. Not only does he light up the Lions defense, he also pitches a shutout on the other end. Kyle, your thoughts on the New England Patriots beating the Detroit Lions 29-0?
The defense was the story of this game, honestly. Besides Bailey Zappi getting his first career win and his first career start, the real story, the two big stories I think from this game was A, this defense showed again it can be elite, and B, Ramondre Stevenson is an absolute stud. So let's go with the defense first. This was a classic Patriots game plan where they said, we are going to take your best options and we are going to take them off the table for you. Figure something else out. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 4 catches for 18 yards. TJ Hawkinson had 1 catch for 6 yards. Those guys were completely silenced in this game. The number 2 thing that they wanted to do is own Jared Goff again. And how do they own Jared Goff? They get pressure on Jared Goff. Because when Jared Goff has a clean pocket, he's actually a pretty decent quarterback. When he's under pressure, he's basically a backup XFL player. So he was terrible, I thought, overall in this game when he was under pressure. He only had 2 sacks against him, but I thought he was running for his life a lot of it and had a costly fumble that cost him in this one. The Patriots offense had 22 points in this game, and they only punted the ball once. So I don't really know what to think of this Patriots offense after this, but overall, the defense proved it can be elite.
Is it mean? Is Bill Belichick mean to Jared Goff?
Yeah, he's bullying the guy.
Yeah.
He said, I could dominate you, and Jelani Tavai plays on my defense, and I can still dominate you. I mean, he's basically playing with 10 guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just kind of rude.
Yeah. This secondary is fun. I mean, this group is really kind of interesting to watch. Like, I don't think Jabril Peppers has really been that good. But at the same time, I'm looking at some of these guys in the secondary. Like, Adrian Phillips just has his helmet on the football, it seems like, at all times. This guy's a machine. You're looking at Kyle Duggar, who's close to a machine too, with the way he can tackle and get into space. And then you're looking at the Joneses in the secondary, with Jonathan Jones having a fantastic start to the season, Jack Jones with an interception in his second straight game, and Marcus Jones too, with a ton of speed, and he's also our punt returner. The Joneses are making things happen in the secondary, and Matthew Judon at the line of scrimmage has done a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah. Also, a great point in the chat. Matt R saying being rude is funny. Yeah, that it is kind of funny. We
are pro bullying here. That's what it is.
Okay, yes, pro bowling podcast apparently, according to Kyle. I mean, but this is what and again, it's Bill Belichick, right? Of lost in all the offensive struggles is like, yeah, anyone concerned about how the secondary would play under Bill Belichick, he knows more than all of us know combined. Let's just trust him. When it comes to secondary, he knows what he's doing.
I mean, he's able to just, J.C. Jackson, all right, have a good one. And then Jonathan Jones just going to step in and be a lead outside corner. Like, how does that happen? And now
J.C. Jackson doesn't look that good.
Yeah. I mean, it's
amazing. What's happening?
We need to know his secret, but it's been good stuff. Yeah, I mean, this defense looks good. I think, like, obviously the Patriots against this Lions defense, I don't take a whole lot away from it. Even, like, so the interception that happened, like, Bailey Zappi threw an interception because he threw the ball right to Nelson Aguilar. That's how he threw an interception. He threw it right to his receiver's hands. It bounced off him for an interception. Like, I don't really know what to make of, this Lions defense isn't good. I thought the Patriots attacked it pretty well. They ended up with 3 points on a bunch of possessions. But what we've seen from this Lions offense the first few weeks of the season, getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back, and this Patriots defense was able to go out and dominate them, I think that was really good stuff.
Yeah, with super chat, why has there been so much Zap hype since even before this game? Kyle, why don't you, as a Patriots fan, feel that one?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a bunch of hype. I think he had a lot of hype in college just because, I mean, if you look at the numbers, he had 60 touchdowns or whatever it was his last season in college before entering the NFL. So I think people thought he was kind of like that sleeper draft pick. And he looks a lot like Mac Jones, so maybe there's some confusion there. But yeah, I mean, I think overall it was just, he played pretty well against Green Bay. I didn't think he was awesome, but he played pretty well in that situation, coming in a tight spot. And then in this one, I thought, once again, he threw a lot of really good balls in this one. He had basically three real incompletions, and then the fourth one his receiver gave to the defense for an interception. So they're not asking him to do a whole lot, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do to be successful.
Exactly what he's doing to be successful.
Yep. The Lions got zapped. That's what happened.
Yes. Also, I love how every single white quarterback to play for the Patriots is now the next Tom Brady. Mac Jones did it, and now we're seeing Bailey Zappi. Guys, not every quarterback who plays for the Patriots that's not Cam Newton is going to be the next Tom Brady.
Hey, you can't say never.
I suppose you're correct. Let's move on. Let's go from your team to my team. Why don't we? Falcons, Buccaneers, and this was a total domination, wire to wire. Nothing ever got scary at the end. Total just great win. Nothing to talk about. Ready to move on?
No, we got to talk about it a little more, I think.
Yeah,
right?
no, obviously, yes. Well, okay, so the game itself, blah blah blah. Buccaneers get off to a hot start. Kind of a weird, again, somehow I've never seen a team simultaneously run the ball too much and throw the ball too much. But the Buccaneers have seemingly managed to figure that out. Some weird play calling offensively for them. The story at this game very poorly officiated. Obviously, there was just what was not a roughing the passer call on Tom Brady that basically, the Falcons would have gotten the ball back with roughly 3 minutes left, down 6 points. So could Mariota have led? Maybe it would have been around a 90-yard touchdown drive. Maybe, you would have loved to have that opportunity. Certainly, if you're Atlanta, they don't get that opportunity. There were some other bad calls, very bad calls in this one. There was a questionable defensive holding call that extended the drive earlier. I didn't get a good look at it. I don't know one way or the other. I didn't see a good angle that was definitive one way or the other, but it was questionable. Some people really didn't like it. And then there was also a bad, what should have been defensive pass interference call. This is all in the final drive. This isn't throughout the game. This is one drive in the most important drive. Buccaneers end up, running out the clock on that drive. So, the conspiracy theorists are out in full force in this one, but there was rough refereeing there.
Yeah, it was. I did see the pass interference call. I thought it should have been pass interference. It obviously wasn't called. There's no excuse to the roughing the passer call. It just makes no sense. I think I think the NFL tries to constantly adjust to what's being seen on the field. And there was a huge thing at the point of emphasis this season was going to be illegal contact in defensive holding. And those are going to be called more. My one theory is based on those Tua hits where his head was whipped to the ground basically and swung down. Was that the emphasis that referees were looked at as far as tackling quarterbacks? Is that a potential?
Has to be. Yeah, I think it has to be.
Yeah, is that something that was emphasized the last week or so after those two hits? Now, I don't think that's right, but at the same time, it was just a horrible call. It was really bad. So there's really no other explanation for it other than maybe this is what the ref saw, but I still think it's just a wrong call. It's bad. So it was just a weird game because, we're talking about everyone saying, oh, well, that cost the Falcons the game. Yeah, they still would have had to go down and score a touchdown. It's not a foregone conclusion that if they get that stop, they win the game. So there's a lot that went into it. The Buccaneers had over, they had over 1.3 yards per play more than the Falcons in this game. I thought they did some things pretty well. They kind of sat on their hands to end this game up 21-0 and gave the Falcons an opportunity. But I thought the Buccaneers played pretty well and then got the fortunate break on that call.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was a big break. To the conspiracy theorists, I just have to say, I don't know what advantage they would have gotten by the Buccaneers. What advantage anyone would have gotten by the Buccaneers, being able to win this game outright instead of even if if it's for Vegas, wouldn't they want to, wouldn't they have called the pass interference penalty then? I know I shouldn't even pay them attention, but all of this is what seems fishy. The line was -9. This did not help the Buccaneers cover.
Yeah, it didn't at all. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird situation. And yeah, like you said, they would have thrown the pass interference call if it was rigged. So,
Hmm.
because that was a lot more blatant than a roughing the passer call. And I mean, it could have been just a straight up makeup call. I don't know, but there's a lot of situations that uh, there's just still so many variables to say. Oh, if the Falcons don't have that call against them, they win. That's basically the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah, the better team won, but it sucks that the Falcons. Sucks that like the Buccaneers didn't get approved. That basically, one thing the Buccaneers did very well until they got some injuries sort of at the end, but the defense did play very well. This defense feels like it is very good when they're not playing the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to have some adjustments for the Chiefs next time they're going at that, including, there will be some adjustments, I think. This defense has proven itself to be pretty elite to start this season. And big game for Antoine Winfield, one of my guys. And I think that they're going to continue to play well.
Yeah, and Mariota is playing really well too. Like Mariota had a good game in this one. His numbers aren't spectacular, but I thought that he did what he could, given the situation. The last thought I have about this game is, hey, Tom Brady was a free agent. Only 2 teams tried to get him. If you wanted Tom Brady, you could have signed him. If you wanted to get these calls, you should have signed Tom Brady.
Oh, boy. That's a good way to end it.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's go to all right. So there's still some interesting games left. I would say. I think there's something to talk about with all these ones. Let's go Texans Jaguars. Why don't we, Kyle? Your Jaguars suck.
This was a bad situation. This was a bad game. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
The offense, we saw a glimpse of. I think we talked about it a little bit last week. We saw a glimpse of what's wrong with an offense that's led by Christian Kirk. Is that there's just no explosive plays to happen in this game. Marvin Jones had a couple big plays, but overall, this team, elite wide receivers are really good at creating explosive plays, and elite wide receivers are really good in the red zone. The Jaguars can't create explosive plays and aren't good in the red zone because they don't have elite wide receivers. So that's why you don't pay Christian Kirk to be an elite wide receiver.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, again, even the Christian Kirk stuff aside, it's like they don't have enough consistency elsewhere. But I mean, also Trevor Lawrence has to stop turning the ball over. I mean, this is back-to-back weeks now that they've lost the turnover battle by a significant margin. They the two turnovers to no turnovers is kind of the story of this game. I mean, that interception to Derek Stingley in the red zone, like that's just that was just a bad play by Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, these last 2 weeks he hasn't played well. Some of like I said, I thought some of those fumbles last week were fluky, but I mean, yeah, it was an inexplicably bad throw in the end zone for that interception. I also think part of it is his receivers have to help him a little. I mean,
Absolutely.
There was like 7 drops in this game too. Like it felt like Evan Ingram. I mean, that's Evan Ingram in a nutshell. But I mean, it felt like he had 10 targets and 6 catches. It felt like his 4 incompletions were drops. So I definitely think he needs help in that situation. But at the same time, he made 2 awful throws, I felt like.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Travis Etienne had 71 yards on 10 carries. That was maybe he's got to start running the ball more. Again, 47 passing attempts for Lawrence. The running game's working. Maybe just again, kind of weird though. Etienne had that a long run there that certainly helped his statistics. But maybe that's just the move. Is just try to get explosive plays with Etienne and with James Robinson.
Yeah, I still think this is a solid team. I'm still sticking to it. I still think there's talent on this team. Like, it was a bad loss. It was a dumb loss. And this looks like a young team making a lot of dumb mistakes to lose games. They lost the Commanders game off of dumb mistakes. And in this one, Lawrence made a couple really bad mistakes. And Trayvon Walker made a brutal mistake with that, unnecessary roughness call that kept that Texans drive alive that led to the game-winning touchdown in the fourth quarter. So, I still think this team's going to be in a position to win some football games, and going forward, they're in the right direction. But maybe they're a year away is the big thing. Maybe I was too quick to jump the gun that this team can win the AFC South.
Yeah, plenty of optimism to be had for the Jaguars. I just, but again, I mean, can you really blame them? Any team could lose to a Dameon Pierce-led Houston Texans team. I mean, this guy, some of these runs he's looking like Marshawn Lynch out there running through. What is going on? This, he had a couple of these runs in this game that was unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, he was carrying guys at some point. He was impressive in this game. And, this Texans offense isn't much, but at least if he's going to be consistent, I mean, he's got to be the offensive rookie of the year at this point, right?
He's in the conversation again. I think that Breece Hall the person who I apparently hate, is he's definitely very much in the conversation as well at this point. But I think Pierce has been
Chris Olave too. Yeah.
yeah, sure. Drake London. It's wide open. We kind of talked about that earlier, but he's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah. I think he's played really well. And I mean, if you talk about impact, he's definitely carrying this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on. Let's talk about Steelers Bills. This was
Uh,
tough. This was tough for the Steelers. You talk about the Gabe Davis day of 3 catches, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. What couldn't get that third one in the end zone? Gabe Davis, what's going on? This was it was a complete beatdown. Also, I don't know why, but it just cracks me up that Josh Allen completely goes off, 424 yards, 31 attempts. Incredible. Case Keenum comes in 2 for 5 for 8 yards. Like, come on, Keenum, you couldn't have at least made your stat line look somewhat decent in a game where Josh Allen was getting well over 10 yards per attempt.
yeah, he was just built off it. I mean, they started the game with a 98-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that helps.
So, yeah, it was brutal from the beginning. This Steelers team's bad. That's my analysis.
Yeah, I mean, this was again, the Bills kind of can do this to anybody, but this was not this to anybody. I mean, this was just a complete beatdown. So, Scott Hansen was bringing up, the record for most passing yards in a single game in like the second quarter of this one.
Yeah, it was never going to reach that point, but it is funny you could have brought it up after the first play when they scored on a 98-yard touchdown pass. Like, how
Yeah,
do you let that happen? And it wasn't even like, I think it was a third down too, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a 3rd and 10, and you're getting beat that far over the top. Like, how is that happening? I don't know, man. Like, I didn't even think Pickett sucked in this game either. I thought he was okay.
yeah,
But
it's
it
weird
was
because I don't.
38-3.
Yeah, it's 38-3, which I feel like a lot of blowouts end up with that score. I don't know what that is. I feel like there's like a decent amount I can think of that were 38-3. But yeah, I thought Pickett was fine too. Like, he did some nice things. He looks like a rookie for sure, but like the 3 points is not because he played poorly.
Yeah. So I know TJ Watt's out, but how
Mhm.
many starters do you think are on this Steelers team next season?
Defensively,
Sure, let's go with the defense because I think that's a big problem.
I don't know. I mean, I think Levi Wallace has shown some nice things. I think Cameron Hayward, as long as he's still, a player, is good. I think that, Alex Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick, I think those guys are players. I would keep Cameron Sutton as well. But, I don't know if you'd need to keep anyone else unless I'm forgetting somebody.
Yeah, I think it just looks so bad at sometimes, man. Like, it's not Seattle bad, but this is a pretty bad defense, I think, and it's just not going to get stops. And yes, the Bills can kind of run it up on anybody, but I don't see a lot of scenarios where Steelers are winning football games going forward. Like, this might be a team just to fade the rest of the season.
Yeah, especially with their schedule coming up. I mean, this has been Mike Tomlin might not get the 500 this year. If Mike Tomlin gets the 500 this year, just make his Hall of Fame bust right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need a miracle to get to that point.
Yeah, no. It's tough. Steelers bad, Bills good. Let's move on. Let's talk about a close game that I could have talked about earlier. Bears Vikings. This was kind of a weird game. I feel like the Vikings are like the new Chargers, where it's like they seemingly keep looking better, but letting teams hang in there. Justin Fields made some nice plays in this one. He really did. He made some plays that got him back into this game. Wasn't quite enough to get the victory. Again, no one seems to hate Justin Fields more than the Bears. They do not give him much to work with, but he did what he could in this one. But the hot start that Kirk Cousins got off to was really kind of the difference. And Justin Jefferson, 154 yards, most of that very early on in this game.
Yeah, and Dalvin Cook got involved too. It seemed like, all of the guys basically from Minnesota you expect to be involved got involved, made some plays in this one. This offense I thought looked really good. Now, this is something we said we wanted them to kind of go at this Bears defense. They were able to do that. The second half was just kind of inexplicable to me that the Bears were able to get back in this game and make it interesting down the stretch. Like you said, Fields played pretty well. I thought he was really good in this game. This might be one of the best games of his career, honestly. And I thought he was really effective in this one. But yeah, I mean, Minnesota, I thought, did what they had to do in the first half. Kind of almost let this go a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, which again, to some degree happens, right? You expect the push when you do get up by a decent chunk. But again, yards per play ended up being the same in this one. The Vikings were able to get consistency here, but they kind of lacked explosives, and the Bears didn't, largely due to Justin Fields making stuff happen.
Yeah. I mean, the play stuff was just crazy too. Yeah, I mean, it all just kind of, Fields was able to drive the ball downfield, get on the move with his legs, and that kind of worked. And like you said, I mean, there's not a lot of options here with Chicago. Montgomery had some moments in this game, but overall, there's just not enough talent on this offense, it feels like, to keep up.
Yeah, I think so as well. But the Vikings, big day for the Vikings, right? Yes, you maybe didn't look as dominant as you wanted to against the Bears, but you're in a situation now where the Packers lost, you won, you are, solely in the driver's seat here. You play the Dolphins next week, which who knows the health of that team? Maybe you're playing them at the right time, so that's some more good news for the Vikings. So interesting stuff.
Would you be shocked if they lose to Skylar Thompson next week, though?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they lose. I would be surprised if they lose to Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like that's just kind of who the Vikings is. They're gonna win. They're gonna win and lose some dumb games.
That's probably fair. Well, I don't believe the game's on prime time, so I think that should be okay.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Why don't we have 3 games left? Speaking of prime time, let's get to the Colts Broncos, the game of the century. I love a good stupid game, and we got that one with the battle of the great quarterbacks who aren't playing so great.
Not playing so great is an understatement. It feels like these guys were terrible.
Yeah.
This looked like the washed up bowl.
Uh-huh.
This was this game should have been sponsored by Viagra or something. By how bad these guys were playing, because these guys had some performance issues for sure. They're not moving the ball well. They're not driving the ball downfield. They look lifeless back there, and it's just amazing. I mean, this Russell Wilson contract might go down as one of the worst ever, right?
It has that potential. I mean, I'm still, I don't know, maybe I'm too slow to, I'm still not ready to say that I think that this is I'm not going to jump to the conclusion of, yeah, this Russell Wilson sucked, but it's certainly a very real conversation, and he might suck, again, yeah, I don't know. This is just a tough situation. I mean, the passer rating here, 54.9 in this game.
Yeah. I don't know. It was bad. I mean, honestly, this might be an incentive. Maybe both of these guys should take steroids. Legalize it for both of them.
For them too, especially. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what you do for Thursday Night Football. Everyone gets to take steroids heading up to Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, they definitely need something because they did not look good. I'm hitting the panic button on this Denver team. I don't love what I'm seeing from this team. I mean, you came away with 9 points in this game, 0 in the fourth quarter of a tight game. That's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable to me.
And in overtime, they had a chance too, where we should talk about that play, right? Having an open KJ Hamler. His read was to the other. He decided to go to the other side, but I don't know why he decided to go away from Gilmore. Why are you looking at Stephon Gilmore? No, look to the other side. You had a pick play set up perfect against that coverage. I didn't understand that read. So it wasn't just sometimes you make a wrong read, but it's I can understand why your read happened to be on the other side, and then someone else got open on the other side of the field. It happens. This was no, his read should have been to KJ Hamler here.
Yeah, it was a bad throw. It was a bad decision, and didn't seem like KJ Hamler had a lot of respect for his quarterback in that situation.
No.
The way he was running off the field. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very weird situation, and it created a weird conversation about Russell Wilson. I thought after this game, did you see all the clips and the Good Morning Football stuff?
I'm not sure exactly.
I don't know. It was like that he's a phony personality and he's not being taken seriously in Denver because of it, which I think there's things to agree on with Russell Wilson, but do you think guys are turning on him in the locker room because he's a phony?
If the Broncos were 4-1, no one would be saying that. That's just one of those when things go wrong, you find who knows is what I would say.
Yeah, I don't know. It is funny though that all the Seattle guys are having a field day with this team right now.
Yeah, that's the Seattle fans have to be feeling great about this. I still have to say though, a lot of revisionist history. I still think it's the right move to go out and try to trade for Russell Wilson. It might not work out, but I still totally I would make that trade 10 out of 10 times if I'm the Broncos.
Well, I think my question, let's transition to the Colts here with this, because I think it's the right move, and they didn't pay a ton, they didn't pay a whole lot for it. I mean, with this Colts situation now, because this is 3 years now of the same thing where they're going to go get a veteran quarterback, and it was Phillip Rivers, and it was Carson Wentz, now it's Matt Ryan. We can't keep doing this, right? Like, I think the Colts have continued to do the situation where they're going to get a veteran quarterback because they're like, okay, we have a team built to potentially win the AFC South and win the Super Bowl. But is it time to just say, let's develop a young quarterback and hope we hit on the draft instead of keep going for these guys who are average players as veterans?
The tough thing is it's always hard to get a good quarterback. Like, whatever you do, there's no easy way to do it. I mean, the Philip Rivers thing worked, right? Like, that was, that they got into the playoffs. They looked good. Rivers had a good year with the Colts. So that was a success. And the Wentz thing did not. And now this thing isn't working. But it's largely not working, again, due to Matt Ryan playing poorly. If Matt Ryan was good Matt Ryan, but again, you're not getting prime Matt Ryan. Like, a team isn't trading you prime Matt Ryan. So that's where things get difficult. Probably, I would say probably, yes, that's the correct decision. But it's just like, if Frank Reich does that, Frank Reich's probably out of a job before he gets to see that quarterback really develop. So that's why he's going for, trying to, get a Matt Ryan.
Yeah. It's a weird situation. They're able to get this win. Somehow they're 500 through all this. This team still does not look like a playoff team, but they're 500. Alec Pierce, pretty good game. Your guy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no. And again, they at least have the excuse in this game of they're missing Jonathan Taylor, who their offense is built around. Like, I'm not saying that's fair, but I'm just saying they can at least say that in the locker room. Like, oh, once Jonathan Taylor gets back, our offense will be better, and at least our defense is great.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe they figure something out, but yeah, I mean, they're going to need better quarterback play, I think, down the stretch, obviously, and we'll see if they get that. Because I mean, I don't know. Matt Ryan was pretty good last year. Like, he wasn't bad. Like, so maybe they get better quarterback play down the stretch.
Yeah, maybe it's listen, Tom Brady struggled when he first got to Tampa a little bit. It wasn't this bad by any means, but he got better as the season went on. There's reason to believe that. Stafford had the opposite. Stafford was great right away and then struggled as the season went on, but then got great in the playoffs. So who knows with this stuff? It's difficult, but Colts only a half game out.
Yeah, they're in a spot. I mean, that NFC South remains or AFC South remains competitive. Not a lot of separation in the NFL through the first 5 weeks. Everything seems pretty tightly bunched overall.
Yeah, it's been very fascinating. Let's go to from bad quarterback play to fantastic quarterback play. Seahawks, Saints, Geno Smith, and again, a lot of revisionist history. I don't know anyone who would have, other than Pete Carroll, who would have been betting money on Geno Smith massively outplaying Russell Wilson through 5 weeks. But here we are, another 10 plus yards per attempt day for Geno Smith in this one. And he was making he was throwing some bombs out there. I mean, this guy is legitimately playing. He's making plays with his legs and then throwing downfield to DK Metcalf for a big touchdown. The Geno Smith resurgence has been a joy to watch. We also saw Kenneth Walker the third, another rookie running back, have a big run in this one. The guy who Seahawks made the controversial choice of drafting in the second round, drafting running back in the second round. Something I'm not a fan of. Shout out Breece Hall, but if it's a good running back, at least helps you. Seahawks lost this game, so I don't know why I'm talking about them so much, because they lost this game to another great quarterback. Taysom Hill was amazing in this one. Taysom Hill versus Geno Smith. Who would have thought?
Yeah, Taysom Hill, 4 touchdowns in this game. 1 passing, 3 rushing. That was this guy just can't quit. I don't get it. Like, he's gonna have a whole NFL career off of doing this stuff. Unbelievable. Just constantly that 60-yard run at the end of the game was just insane. I mean, this guy has come up big for them. It seems like every year he's gonna have one of these games where he's just unstoppable and the team isn't prepared for it. So yeah, the Saints are able to come away with this win, and it felt like a very offensively what the Saints want it to be, where they can have Alvin Kamara out in space, where these receivers, they don't have Michael Thomas in this game, but Chris Olave is able to get out in space in some big plays in this game. And you saw a glimpse, I think, of what they want to do on offense. And hopefully as they get the receivers healthy, they can continue to do it.
Yeah. Joe with the dollar, we appreciate that. Joe, yeah, I mean, I just have to say, with this Saints team, in this situation, how could you go back to Jameis Winston, right? Like, it has to be this Andy Dalton Taysom Hill tandem, right?
I think so. I think you go until it stops working. And I don't think Jameis is the kind of level or player or has garnered the reputation to earn his starting job back. So yeah, I mean, I think at this point you kind of have to go with what's working.
Yeah, big win for the Saints. I still don't think the Saints are dead. Again, defense not a great day, but it's Geno Smith. He does that to everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm saying that only somewhat ironically.
I mean, look, Geno Smith has been really good this season. He's been really good. He's outperformed Russell Wilson, like you said. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really good, and not to mention, it helps when you have good receivers, and the good receivers have been really good this year. So, yeah, I mean, things are working for the Seahawks offense. The defense, on the other hand, is a bigger question.
Kyle, are you ready to apologize to Pro Football Focus after laughing at them for having Geno Smith as the 8th best quarterback after like 3 weeks?
A little bit. Yeah, he's played well. He's outperformed. So, yeah, I mean, sorry, Pro Football Focus. Fix your Patrick Mahomes grade still.
Oh, Kyle, breaking podcasting 101, never apologize.
Oh, I have to stick with my opinion for the rest of my life. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Cannot adjust any at all.
Yeah, I mean he's been good, so you got to give him credit for that. But I mean, so where do we evaluate the Seahawks team at this point? 2-3 on the season. I think it's better than we thought, mainly because this offense is okay. But at the same time, they still had some stinkers, and I mean, I think it's going to be a solid offense and a horrible defense, and they're going to lose a lot of games because this horrible defense lets them down.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they're, things are going good for Seattle. Depends, and Smith's playing so well. Maybe Denver will trade a couple first-round picks for him next year.
There you go. Maybe you can get Russell Wilson back too.
Yeah, there you go. Just it's sort of like one of those hacks in video games, like an infinite draft pick loop.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, we'll see if that strategy pays off. Final game, Niners Panthers. PJ Walker 5 for 6, 60 yards. Maybe they got the quarterback.
Yeah, I tweeted this during the game, and I still feel kind of the same way. Could D'Amico Ryans just move into Carolina's locker room? Like, we don't need to do a whole coaching search. We don't need to do an announcement tomorrow. Let's just have D'Amico Ryans just move in and keep things moving.
Yeah, that makes. Also, I like the Anthony. You wrote Geno off, Kyle. He didn't write back. Yeah, that's true. Again, still don't know if I understand that analogy, but I don't understand what that means.
He's back, baby. But where was I? Oh yeah. So that's kind of just how I feel. Just move D'Amico Ryans in. Tell Matt Ruth thank you for your service. This is going to be the end of the line, and then we'll just keep going.
Yeah, the reports are Matt Rule will be. I've heard reports he'll be fired tomorrow, but I don't know how substantiated they are. So if you're listening to this on your way to work tomorrow or whatever, you might know more than I do. But there's a chance that happens. I get it. Again, I don't know who's going to have a better day trying to coach this Panthers team. I mean, this Panthers team, could get a really good quarterback next year.
They could definitely get a pretty good quarterback next year, the way Baker Mayfield's playing. It has been pretty. And then, I mean, there's really, I mean, the bummer is that Matt Corral isn't going to get a chance to earn this job or anything because he's out for the year. So not having Matt Corral, obviously they can't go to Sam Darnold. There's just really no other options, I feel like, for this team right now. Maybe they can get fans excited with Cam Newton again.
Yeah, there you go. I like that one. Will Luke Kuechly play quarterback for you?
Yeah, might be better than what they got right now.
Yeah. Do you think if they brought as a promotion, they said Luke Kuechly will quarterback the first drive of this game, would ticket sales go up?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I'd probably go. That'd be interesting.
They could just have Luke Kuechly stand in the middle of the field during the game. I think ticket sales would go up.
That's probably fair. That's kind of what he did when he played.
At the end of it, yeah.
Well, no, I just mean like he was, middle linebacker. He would be in the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he was a good player, so.
Yes,
um,
Luke Kuechly, good player. That's our hot thing. 49ers played in this game. Their offense looked incredible. Again, kind of one of those Kyle Shanahan just scheme you apart. Panthers defense has been solid. So like the offense doing well is legit. Again, beating the Panthers defense or being able to shut down Baker Mayfield is expected by any NFL caliber defense. But like the 49ers offense playing well, that is still something that's good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that they played well in this game. Like you said, they schemed a lot of things open and they ran the ball really effectively. This was an awesome Jeff Wilson game. I thought that helped a lot. And that and the defense, I thought, equally played kind of dominant football. So this was an impressive win for the 49ers, despite Carolina looking kind of lifeless. The number of injuries, I think, that are once again piling up for San Francisco, it feels like we say that every year.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a couple guys in the secondary of this game. Nick Bosa got hurt towards the end of it too. So they need to stay healthy because I think this is a really good football team.
Yeah, that's our show. Those are all of the games. Kyle, next week we'll only have 14 games to talk about instead of 16. We're done at the 16 games until the end of the season, so we got through that.
We did it. We're heading into week 6. Things are buzzing. Got a little bit of a bounce back week for picks. The Bengals blowing it obviously affected me from going 6-2, and the Broncos, not being able to throw a forward pass also hurt. So bounce back next week, do even better.
Yeah, Skylar has a good, interesting comment here. Pats should stick with Zappa. Do you think Patriots should stick with Zappa?
Frank Zappa?
Yeah, Frank Zappa.
Is he doing the national anthem or something?
Yeah, I think so. That's what he's asking.
All right. Well,
Zappy corrected himself.
Oh, Zappy. All right. Well, we'll see.
You want Zappy to do the national anthem? That doesn't make sense.
Hey, maybe he's got a great voice. You don't know.
I suppose I don't. Well, if he turns out to have a great voice, I will on the next week make up excuses for why I don't have to admit that I'll move the goalpost. Okay, his voice is okay. It's not Freddie Mercury's voice.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's hey, things are rolling right now. We're 2-3. Let's keep winning some football games. That's all that matters for the Patriots right now.
Yeah. Should be good stuff. Raiders Chiefs on Monday, and then of course we will be boycotting the Thursday night game. We will not be watching the Commanders Bears.
Yeah, we won't even pick it.
Okay, I like that. Let's just not put it. Okay, we won't put it on the Pick'em show.
Well, then we're gonna have an uneven amount of games, but
that's okay. We can have one is undrafted.
Okay, so Washington at Chicago. Go spend time with your loved ones. Go do something else. Enjoy freedom. That's what I gotta say.
Yes, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be back here on Wednesday to pick 13 out of the 14 games next week. So be on the lookout for that. Kyle, let them know where they can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to follow him at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Yes, of course, if you like audio-only podcasts, anywhere you get the audio-only feed, anywhere you get your podcast, the audio-only feed should be available. Just search On the Sideline Podcast to get that. And yeah, Kyle, any final thoughts?
Looking forward to the Raiders. Let's get some Raiders Chiefs tomorrow night. That should be a fun one. Then we can skip Thursday, but we got something to look forward to tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night that one should be a good one, or not. I mean, who knows? Chiefs could win it by 1 million.
Well, that'll be fun to watch too.
Well, I have to say, there's this weird thing that's happened where I feel like people say if a game ends like 40-10, people don't complain, but if a game ends like 12-11, it's like, oh my god, worst game. I much prefer a low scoring game than a blowout high scoring game.
Listen, Raiders fans are beautiful people, and when their team loses by a lot, they self-combust unlike any other franchise fandom in probably all of pro sports.
That's not true. Also the Maple Leafs are definitely number one.
That's true, but
actually, I don't know. Vancouver Canucks. That's clearly number one.
Yeah, I don't even know why the Maple Leafs talked themselves into being successful. Like, we know that's just a loser franchise.
I
probably shouldn't call them a loser franchise, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I guess all the Toronto Maple Leafs fans will be mad at you now.
That's okay. I can take on Canada. But Yeah, I mean, I think just it's they know how to self combust almost better than any other franchise. So it's great to watch that. It's also great when they're successful because they're so passionate. So good stuff all around.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. This got off the rails quickly. I feel like I did nothing. Did I instigate this? I think I instigated it a little.
I don't know. It's fine. I don't think we instigated anything. What do we do?
I like we know the truth just in the chat just said Patriots trash. All right, so things getting off the rails here. Let's end it now.
That's okay.
Thank you to everybody. We do appreciate it. And until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.